I mean, I think that, the eyes on the prize is that, you've got a country that's thinking very strategically about its future. And I think this is, if you look at Vali Nasser's analysis of the current conflict, it's very clear Iran's got its eyes on the prize. It's in a winning position. It's used its leverage very effectively. What we thought was very asymmetric has turned to feel less asymmetric than you might think. And we're seeing that, as President Trump sort of throws up his hands and says the deal's not good enough, or he doesn't like what they wish to have. Iran looking, unfortunately, quite powerful, and the U.S. As President Trump goes to China, looking not very strong.
What do you think the best the U.S. can get out of any type of negotiated peace with Iran is at this point?
I think the real concern is that strait, that leverage that Iran has, is going to continue to hover over President Trump's head, over all of us. I guess the best deal would be to, sort of maybe not have a deal, but to get some sort of ongoing ceasefire and some sort of opening of that strait, kick the can down the road on negotiating a deal when it comes to the nuclear issue, because that's not going to be resolved anytime soon. But if he could perhaps offer to lift some sanctions, tough thing to do, unblock some assets in exchange for a deal in which, this UK French-led proposal to help open the strait, keep the strait open. I think for the U.S. president, the number one thing is really the strait, not the nuclear issue, which, let's be fair, it hadn't been a big issue in reality leading up to this moment.
The strait was open 10 weeks ago.
The strait was open 10 weeks ago.
And it's been open for decades.
It has, but now the game has fundamentally changed in the Strait of Hormuz, as we know.
Can I ask a dumb question? We put a man on the moon. Why are we having trouble with this? What is the...
we have an adversary.
I feel like Robert D. Kaplan. What's the geographical constraint for us applying what we need to do to open the strait other than our will?
Yeah, look, they're there. We're very far away. It's a tiny little passageway. They have all the will in the world. It's their one source of leverage.
Didn't we know this?
Of course we did. Our foreign policy experts have gamed this out for a very long time. They were very well aware that this was the scenario to be aware of. And this U.S. administration has simply not been taking that advice. It hasn't been thinking through it. I think President Trump, we know this by now, he thought he could go in, he could, remove the leadership.
Venezuela.
He could create the U.S. and, to be fair, and Israel thought they could create the conditions that would allow the people of Iran to rise up. Clearly, a very shallow analysis of this regime and its embeddedness across the entirety of the country.
You just have relocated from London. Give us just a sense of how our, and I'm going to use air quotes here, our allies, our traditional allies, view the U.S. now, simply in the context of this Iran venture here.
I mean, we know it's not good, but you can separate it out, right? Obviously, British and European elites are struggling to engage and try to diversify away from their dependence on the U.S. because they're, I think so, ongoing shock, but realization that the U.S. under this leadership, but even going forward, isn't coming back. But look at the people. 68% of Brits polled last month thought that the U.S. was, doing nothing good for the world, to put it in a nutshell. YouGov polling. I mean, that's extraordinarily high. It was up 11% from the month previously. Right. So our soft power, our public diplomacy, but the elites, right? The foreign policy elites and leaders in our allied countries in Europe are really trying to find ways to not have to work with us and to not be dependent on us. But what they are doing, they're meeting today, the UK and the French and 40 other nations, to try and come up with a proposal so that if there is a deal, they can enforce, help to enforce, and ensure an opening of that strait. So that is, that's a win if it happens. It's going to be very hard to deliver.